What is the biggest betrayal you've experienced in your life? Husband slept with a waitress on our honeymoon. Edit further info. Yes, I found out that night. Yes, I left that night. Yes, I handed him divorce papers within a week. Long time ago, moved on now and in a very happy relationship. My mom, whom I was insanely close to all my life, called me a slut when I got sad at 14 years old. My cat approached like she wanted pets, but when I reached my hand out she bit me. Found out that son and daughter had different biological fathers, neither won me. My son's father was my best friend and little sister's husband. Rough times. Family member died. The family member that was the executor used the estate lawyer to try and write everyone out of the will and keep all the money. I made a new friend who seemed to really like me and was really nice and funny since I felt like my other friends were slowly getting toxic. I was still friends with my old friends, but I was trying to distance myself from them. Then an incident happened which basically meant I lost trust in my old friends, and my new friend told me to ditch them. Since my new friend seemed so great and trustworthy, I did. This meant that pretty much my only friend was with me all the time. A week later, my new friend ditched me as well, which left me with nobody. I later found out that my old friends were actually friends with the new friend and told the new friend to do this exact plan of me ditching the old friends and then the new friend ditching me. Great. It's partly my own fault. My ex-wife was a serial cheater. I kept forgiving her because we had kids together. After 23 years of marriage and 5 kids, she walked out completely and moved in with a deadbeat loser. I raised the kids myself. The biggest betrayal wasn't her leaving me, it was her taking little to no interest in the life of her kids. My daughters were in high school and my 2 youngest boys were like 7 and 9. They needed a mother. I had been talking to this girl I'd been friends with for more than 10 years. We had kinda been flirting and stuff a lot. She begged me and convinced me to send some pictures I normally never would send. Then she immediately blackmailed me for $800. I took in a friend who had a heroin addiction and was in recovery. I supported her financially. She tried turning me against my husband, stole thousands of dollars from us, and stole my engagement and wedding ring. I was the first woman in my family to have an engagement ring and actually get married because I wanted to instead of because I was pregnant and needed a shotgun wedding. My engagement ring had a lot of meaning to me because of that, and losing it was devastating. She was involved in sex work, for drugs, and I actually had a John show up to my fucking house months later and try to proposition me. Thank God a violent man who wouldn't take no for an answer didn't show up. Another dude showed up looking for her because he was madly in love with her. We pressed charges. She never actually spent any time in jail despite it being a felony charge. Pisses me off whenever I think about it. My ex-wife cheating on me. I didn't know she had an affair while we were engaged. A good friend of ours did and neither of them told me. I didn't know she cheated on me a few times during our 16-year marriage either, until I caught her in her latest affair in October 2005 and divorced her. I found out about her other affairs during the divorce. We had no marriage. She was cheating while we were engaged. She knew our marriage was doomed before we took our so-called wedding vows. She was never all on our team like I was. My entire marriage was a lie. I trusted a fart once, I'll never do that again. This sounds pretty lame, but when my dad gave me 60 when I was 7 or 8 for my b-day, I felt really rich at the time because I never grown up with allowance and barely received gifts. I wanted to buy a 30 video game and keep the rest, but it was rated and my dad didn't give a shit what I played, so he had to buy it for me. When he did, he pocked the 30 and I asked for it back. He told me in the most stern voice, "You got your gift with the money I gave you. I take back the rest you don't use." I'm 35 now and still recall this like it was recent. It struck me so much how fucked over I felt for my own dad. He also died over 10 years ago and didn't leave anything for us. I totally expected it. Family conned me out of $250,000 inheritance through some legal bullshit. I was broke. They were middle class. Ex-girlfriend accused me of being physically and emotionally abusive whilst we were still together. She isolated me from all of my friends when we split up because I wouldn't take her back, and now I have nothing to do with those friends anymore. Just goes to show, nothing is permanent, everything is temporary. After dedicating my life to figure skating and my coach, she abandoned me during the lowest time of my life. She watched and encouraged me to destroy myself for years, then when my body started to literally break down and fall apart she left. She told me I didn't want it bad enough, like I hadn't neglected every other aspect of my life to dedicate myself completely to becoming the best in the world. I wasn't even close. Then watching her walk out on me so easily, like she didn't practically raise me all because I couldn't perform anymore, that was betrayal. Coworker passed one of my procedures, saved the company around $1 million a month and passed it off as his own. Luckily all the lab notebooks were clearly in my handwriting and all the data was under my login, but wow, that one hurt. Finding out my boyfriend was living a full-blown double life. I dated a complete stranger who doesn't actually exist. Definitely the biggest and craziest betrayal I've experienced. My son's lifelong PCP ignoring a scan fax to her from a radiologist at the ER in 2018 showing a tumor on his liver, even had it measured. She didn't tell us or order follow-up testing. He just died this past October from late-stage liver cancer the doctors at Children's were surprised to find, 2 weeks after his 16th birthday. I got a good job for my age when I was a senior in high school. The woman that birthed me was on a very bad combination of medication and was living in a constant state of anxiety. So she proceeded to take my first year's income minus what I had to spend on bills, and then continued taking from me for the next 8 months or so after that until I finally worked up the courage to cut it off. I found out later that she had money the whole time, she just didn't want to spend her own so she spent mine instead. Confided in a good friend coworker about how much I hated my job and thought our manager was incompetent. She took screenshots and sent them to HR. I didn't get fired, but I lost a promotion and pretty much couldn't move in the company because no other team would take me because of it. Ended up working out because I ended up leaving that shitty job and shitty city for a major upgrade in both.